Welcome to the Director's Cut on how to make these beautiful trinket bowls. There's 4 easy steps we're going to go through. First, what the materials you need. Second, how to make the moulding. Thirdly, how to do that painting, it's beautiful. And fourthly, the outside and how to get the finish. So, without further ado, starting off with the materials. You need a balloon, 2/3 full of water. That's going to sit in the plant pots. If you look at the background, you can see I make several at the same time. Nicely weighted so that when you put it in there, it holds firm. Do different sizes, different size bowls, different shapes, and then you need the newspaper. Any newspaper you like. Don't use glossy magazine paper, that doesn't work. But cut it into strips like you're making paper mache, which in fact you are doing. But instead of using glue, you're going to use cement. Now, health and safety again, make sure you're wearing gloves and a mask. This stuff can dry out your skin and actually cause chemical burns, so wear full safety gear. I mix it in a specialist concrete mixing bowl, or saucepan as my wife calls it. About a spoonful. You can see the quantities. You'll get used to it. It's really hard to say exactly how much. Add a bit of water. If you know anything about cement mixing, ignore it. You're not trying to make good cement to lay bricks. What you want to do here is create like a thick loopy gravy. So here, that's kind of what you might use to lay bricks with. Add more water. You want to get... So it's going to pour. You're going to be dipping paper in. It's going to soak all the water out. So you want to make it properly sloppy. You can see here it's just dripping off there. Dripping off there. Right. So now the moulding. Get your paper. Dip it in cement. Remember you're wearing gloves at this point so you don't get your hands all burnt and dirty. And use the drippy paper to carefully place it over the balloon. These early ones might have trouble sticking, so do small pieces to begin with and sort of gradually build it up. When I was first doing this, quite often I'd find I'd get to about this stage and the whole thing would slide sideways off the balloon. But build up layers and layers and layers, as you can see. Add dry paper sometimes to help it, and you'll form a nice balloon. Once you're happy, smooth it down a bit, and there you go. Leave it overnight, and here's the dried result. It can be a little bit thin, bits flake off like this. You can just add, before you take it off the balloon, have a look at it. Add another layer if you want to. Now, for the painting, we need to hang upside down. So use a glue gun and a bit of string, or however you want to fix this. You just need to be able to hang the bowl upside down, so when you've painted the inside, it can drip dry. Onto the painting for the inside. This one's been painted orange. I don't like it. That's a Dyna purple, much better. You want a shiny metallic. Look at that blue, sparkles. So instead of that flat orange, I'm going to do this one in a Dyna red. I use a cheap acrylic, but it's got Dyna or metallic or something like that to make it really ping. When you're diluting your paint, because it needs to be runny, use a proper flow enhancer or something designed to make paints pour more easily. Pour medium is quite often called. You can mix this up to like 75% pour medium, 25% paint. I normally start off with small bits and gradually work up. It's much easier to do it several times and make one big mistake. So shake it away and see how that looks. Here you can see really thick and gloopy. No, a lot more material. You want this one to be like a thick pancake mix or something like that. I'm not a chef, I don't know. You'll see in a moment. I told you not to add water because it can separate the paint, but you can add a little bit, maybe 5–10%. So here you see just a little splash. Yeah, just a little. Put it in there, and now, there you go. That's how the paint looks. Possibly a little bit thick on this one, but that's because I'm going over the orange. You could do it a little bit more runny. So painting the inside. The key thing here is to make sure everything's covered. So you're going to waste a bit of paint here, but pour it in there because going afterwards to patch it up. You can do small pinpricks, but you can't cover big areas. So lots and lots of paint all around the edges. Squirt it in there. Yep. It's a lot cheaper to do it once and do it right than try to repair it. Now, as you tilt the bowl, you can see those holes and gaps being covered as the paint pours over them. This is quite satisfying actually. How much can you pour to the edges without getting it to drip over? Make sure you do this over a mat. It will drip. When you get towards the edge and you're fed up of trying to make it pour, you see that little hole just filling? Yeah, gotcha. Now, when you get bored of doing this, just use your finger to dab it to the edges. This is why you paint the inside first, because you're going to do the outside next, and that will go over any drips on the edges. So hang it upside down. You can see here I've got my custom built professional hanging mechanism. Yeah, whatever it takes. Look underneath the bowl, paint is dripping out. This is big gloopy bits of paint, so make sure it's properly protected. I do mine on a piece of glass because I'm lucky I've got some. Put some plastic, a plate, something there to catch the drips. Leave it overnight, then once it's properly dry, pull off the hot glue or the string, however you got it attached. Hot glue's good here because it peels off without any damage eventually. Anyway, now we're doing the outside. This is where we're going to come to painting the outside and do the finish. We want a stripy swirly paint. So to make stripy paint, you basically pour layers of 2 different colours into a cup or a glass. So here you can see I'm doing a layer of purple, no, a layer of silver, a layer of blue, a layer of silver, and once I've got a few layers there, that's a half-pint cup. Yeah, you're quite lucky. For the outside, you can do this in 1 or 2 sessions, so if you don't mix quite enough, you can mix a bit more. But there you go, about 1/4 of a pint. Then you get your all-essential lollipop stick. Notice that's a reused one. Try to reuse your stuff. It saves buying new stuff as well as saving the planet. But do a little cross. You're not mixing the paint. You're not blending it. You're just giving it a little bit, make sure there's blue and silver intermixed. Now, pour it gently over the top in a swirly pattern, and this will give you that stripy outside finish. It's really quite surprising how the paint stays separated rather than just going like a silvery blue. That's why you need a paint to be that kind of consistency to work. So once you've got it over there, again you need to make sure it covers everything, so go around 2 or 3 times. Also, you'll always paint the side nearest you most. So you can see here, all the back side's got gaps in it. So again, look around, go over it. If you can turn it around, even better. Use your lollipop stick to fill all those gaps. Once it's covered, leave it again. I leave this one, actually, I was in cold weather, so I left this one overnight. And the next day, oh, you get pinpricks, yeah? Blast it with a blowtorch. It doesn't have to be a big one like this. You can use a cooking one, yeah? Just get rid of any bubbles, yeah? I then left this. And the next day, the paint was, see those thick bits on the floor, on the table? Those were actually liquid enough to fill in little gaps. You might want to leave it a couple of hours if you're in warm weather, but this is England and it was winter. So I could use that to touch it up. And this means the final thing is, once you've got all the gaps filled, hit it with a spray lacquer. I didn't film this bit. High gloss lacquer or whatever you've got, and you'll get that lovely shiny thing. I've used anything from car wheel lacquer to art gloss, and the effect is beautiful. Look at those. Thank you.